are live. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, it is, believe it or not, the last Shabbat of 5782.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Dennis was here for 57 of those 5,700 of those 57 and 82. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
But oh, what a gorgeous day it was today. Although Dennis says, and I have to, I'll say this, he prefers it a little warmer. But today was an absolute gorgeous day for the last Friday leading into the last Shabbat of the year. We'll pick up again next Shabbat, and it'll be a brand new year, 5783, according to the rabbis, according to a number of rabbis who calculated how long ago the world was created. They didn't have big memory, not big memories, they didn't have big imagination, so they figured we'll start and we'll work from there. But beautiful day, hope it's a beautiful weekend, and we'll be bringing in the new year on Sunday night. So last Shabbat of 5783. All right, well, I mean, we could delay it and keep it a little bit longer, but let's begin. And Judy, you're on a roll with benching licht for us.
Yep.
Judy's can come up and light candles as we begin welcoming Shabbat, and the reading and the blessing, pages 3 and 2.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlekner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, on page 6, let's have a responsive reading, and we'll find the reading in the middle of the page. Page 6. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares and burden. Thanks to express hopes to the future.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May it circle the
Silent heart,
walk beyond restrained feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May
the synagogue be for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
All right. Lecha Dodi at the top of page 20 comes to us from the mystical city of Sfat, where the Makubalim, the Kabbalists, came after the expulsion from Spain in 1492. Until then, Sfat was just a little mountain town, not even a town basically, but it was in the hills of the Galil, a beautiful, beautiful place in the north of Israel. And so, I'm going to change things up. I'm going to try and remember we'll see. Top of page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shemo tiferet ve'litila Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם לשוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי תוכפך, רב לך שבט בימך בכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בידי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קורבה אל נפשי נפשי גאלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי התעוררי, כי בא העורב קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקומי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי, נבנתה העיר אל תילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. והיו לשמחה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמשוש חתן חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללה יללה יללה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובשולה, toch emune am segula, bo wichala, lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, lekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, lekabela. Page 22 at the top. Actually, it's the middle in the English, I'm sorry. The middle of page 22, some verses from Psalm 92, the Psalm for Shabbat. Let's read this together, and then we'll go up to the indented paragraph in the Hebrew for Tzaddik Katamar. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai! How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzaddik Katamar Yifrach, Ke'erez Balvanon Yiskeh, Shetulim Beveit Adonai, Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrihu. O Jenuhun Beseva, Deshein Berachmananim Yiyu Lehagi, Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Melo Avlatabo. And let's finish up Kabbalat Shabbat by welcoming the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us. 2 angels to accompany us to and from synagogue on Shabbat and to spend Shabbat with us. Page 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seifchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All right, we have completed Kabbalat Shabbat. We have welcomed the Shabbos bride. And Shabbat is here with us. So we're going to turn to page 146 to begin the evening service for Shabbat. Aravit l'Shabbat, the evening service, also known as Ma'ariv, which means west, because the sun sets in the west. Baruch Hu, page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. Let's read together on page 147 in the English, the first blessing before Kriyat Shema. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. 148 at the top. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot u'kim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shochneinu u'hukumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayinu v'yorech yameinu, ubahem nehege yomam v'layla, ve'ahavat echal tasir mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levacha ubechol nafshecha ubechol miodecha, v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם ושבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. 151 in the middle. Let's read responsively in English. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
That the oneness that lives over us is imperfection and evil bound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When you grant everyone, we cleanse ourselves.
Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned that God has his redeemed Son event, so we celebrate the power of grace for freedom.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohora tehilot, ohosef ve'hevet. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, zeili anu v'amruhu, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, ונאמר כי פדלנה את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. Top of page 153, the second blessing after Shema Hashkiveinu. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chayim. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chayim. Let's read together in the English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft, evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, Aporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Top of page 154, verses from the book of Exodus, the book of Shemot, reminding us of our duty to protect, to guard Shabbat. Top of 154, Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית העולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. We are at the central prayer for the evening service, actually the central prayer for all of our services, the Amidah, known by that because we say it's standing. It's known as Tefillah or HaTefillah, the prayer, the central prayer, and it's also known during the week as the Shmona Esrei, the 18, because there are 18, actually 19 benedictions in it, but not on Shabbat. It's a special one for Shabbat, but we're going to begin it on 155, chanting 155, 156, and 157 together, then going silent to finish the Amidah, and you'll finish it by page 167. But we're all going to begin together on page 155. Adonai sifatai tifach u'via iteinachecha. Adonai sifatai tifach u'via iteinachecha. Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור, הנורא, אל עליון, אומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדות ואימהות, והביאו אל לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הקהל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגיבורו, ומידו בהלה, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצליח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. So completing Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to join back together on page 160 and read together in the middle of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. A little bit of hoda'ah, a little bit of thanksgiving, a little bit of thankfulness. Let's read responsibly the top of page 163. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
To strive to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise, the source of being.
Let's close out our evening Amidah with the prayer for peace in the evening, and in the afternoon it's Shalom Rav. Grant us a great peace. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Am Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Praise to you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, v'shalom. We jump ahead to page 253 for the Yishaberach, one of the many types, and this one is a prayer for asking God to grant healing. And if you have anybody who needs some special healing this week and this final Shabbat of the year, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, keep them in your thoughts and close to your heart as we prepare for Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mikor habracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imoteinu Mikor habracha La'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We're going to turn to prayers of our community, for our congregation, for our country, for the state of Israel, pages 250 and 259. And Dennis,
Yes, sir.
how about the prayer for our congregation at the top of 258?
Saints of all being, may the children of this community learn His passion from us. Love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us to be blessed with satisfaction. And may we appreciate their time and their devotion. May us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding. And may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levatcha b'yirah na'avod. Mari, prayer for our country, please.
Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and unite the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke, share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness.
Thank you. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu Ahavayik. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael V'Golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reishit Tzmichat Geulateinu. Again Aleha V'Yevrak Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Oracha V'Amivcha Norasheha Sareha V'Yoetzeha, V'Taknein Be'etzah Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam V'Yoshveha, V'Nomar Amen. Ed, prayer in English, please.
O Heavenly One, protect and redeemer of Israel. Bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over us the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for reading. All right, friends. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Hard to believe that it's the last Shabbos of 5782. It seems like it was just 5781. We are at Parshat Nitzavim. Nitzavim is often doubled up with Vayelech, but not this year. And we still have 3 parshiot to go before we're finished the Torah. But this is the last one for this year. Moshe is continuing his final speeches to Bnei Yisrael just before they enter the land. This is the generation that grew up in the wilderness. They did not experience all of the miracles and wonders. And so Moshe is giving them a kind of a crash course. He tells them that God is establishing a brit, a covenant with them and through them for all the generations and with all the generations. And this becomes a key idea in Judaism, that whether we were alive back then or we are alive today, we were somehow present at this original covenant that God established with us at Mount Sinai. And he says, Ki ata asher yishnu po imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom. He says that those who are here today and those who are not here today are witnessing, are part of this moment. And he reminds them that this is a fulfillment made many, many, many years before to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is the moment that our people have been waiting for. This is the moment that Abraham was waiting for, although he never got to see it. All the patriarchs, all the matriarchs, Joseph and his sons, Jacob and his sons, they all waited and they never got it. This is the generation. And once again, Moshe enumerates the blessings and the curses. Some of the blessings and the curses, I told you a number of times, I don't like those words, blessings and curses. Basically what he's saying is there are consequences to our actions. You want good consequences, behave the right way. You don't want good consequences, do what you want and see what happens. He says, first and foremost, do not worship idols. That is a recurring theme throughout not only the Torah, but the entire Bible and our history. The idea that we would somehow turn our backs on God after all God has done for us, for our people, and to worship idols. And now idols, for at least in my opinion, are not these little statues. Idols are anything that we put before God, anything that we feel that we have to do instead of doing what's expected of us from God or by God. And Moshe says, well, when you start this idolatry, you will be visited by plagues, you'll have devastation, and it will not be good for you or your children. He promises, though, that it won't always be this way, this idea of exile, of being cut off from God. They can return. And he says, Shavta, right? You can return. And this gives us part of the root for the word tshuva, for the high holidays, the idea of returning to God. God will always give us a second chance if we take the Torah seriously, right? And he says, in one of the most wonderful parts of the entire Torah, Moshe says that the Torah is not far away. It's not in the heavens where somebody has to go and find it. It's not in the mountains where somebody has to climb to get it. It's not across the seas. No, it is very close. It is in your hearts and in your mouths. And he pleads with them to listen. He pleads with them to love God, to walk in God's ways, and to keep the commandments. And he says, Ha'idoti bachem hayom et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. He says, I call upon the heavens and the earth this day to witness. Right? Hachayim v'hamavet natati lifnecha. Right? He says, I am placing life and death before you. Habracha v'haklala, the blessings and the curses. Uvacharta b'chayim, choose life, which means choose the blessings that will bring you the good consequences. Our actions have consequences. Moshe keeps reminding the children of Israel. I keep reminding you, and I keep reminding myself that we need to make the right choices. If you are counting up the mitzvot this week, you are going to be disappointed. There are 0 mitzvot in this parsha when it's read by itself. So we're almost done, but this one has no new mitzvot for us. So Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, and Shana Tova.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
One of the most recognized sounds in the world is that of the shofar. All right? Everybody knows it when they hear it. It has such a unique sound that it cannot be confused with any other instrument. And during the high holidays, the second most popular question asked, other than what time is Yizkor, is what time will the shofar be sounded? If you want to know how deeply embedded the sound of the shofar is in our culture, not just Jewish culture, but in Western culture, the 1968 movie Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston and Roddy McDowell, you hear the shofar in that soundtrack all the time. If you ever go back and watch it, not the modern version with Mark Wahlberg, forget that one. It's the original. You'll hear the shofar, especially when the apes are gathering, when the apes are chasing. Listen. Before the holiday was known as Rosh Hashanah, in the Torah it's not known as Rosh Hashanah. It is known by two different names, but basically the same name. It's mentioned in 2 different places. The command is B'chodesh Hashvi'i Ve'echad L'chodesh. In the 7th month, on the 1st day, Yihyeh Lachem Shabbaton. It will be for you a complete day of rest, the Shabbaton. Zichron Truah. You will remember to hear the Truah, Dikrei Kodesh, right? The holy period, the holy time, right? Zichron Truah, to remember to hear the Truah, which is one of the classic sounds that the shofar makes, and that comes out of Leviticus 23, verse 24, and then in Bamidbar, in Numbers 29, verse Aleph, verse 1, Hayom Truah Yihyeh Lachem. A day of sounding Truah it will be for you. So in the Bible, we don't have Rosh Hashanah. We have Yom Truah. In the biblical times, there was no autumn holiday called Rosh Hashanah. Everything started in the spring. right? Our calendar actually starts in the spring with the first month of the year, which is the month of Nisan, which holds the month of the festival of Passover, right? Everything starts in the spring. Later, many generations after the biblical time, our ancestors decided that they were going to measure time, that is, count years, from the moment of creation. From the moment of the creation of the world and of all humanity, that's what Rosh Hashanah is. It happens in the 7th month of the calendar. It would be like, it's like New Year's Eve in July, even though the months started in January. Because Rosh Hashanah, unlike our other holidays, unlike Passover, which is tied deeply, deeply, deeply to our national identity, Shavuot is tied deeply to our national identity, and Sukkot is tied deeply to our national identity. Rosh Hashanah isn't. It's connected and it's tied to our being part of humanity in general. But it links also our national story, right? It's our human history and our national story, right? We Jews celebrate Rosh Hashanah as part of our national story and our worldwide piece of our worldwide history. One of the interesting things is that people think the mitzvah of the shofar is to sound it. The mitzvah is actually to hear it, right? So if you can't sound the shofar, that's okay. That's not a problem. You have to be able to hear it. You have to be able to listen and hear the sound. That's the mitzvah, right? It's lishmoa kol shofar, to hear the voice of the shofar. And I think the reason we're commanded to hear the shofar, even our biblical ancestors were commanded to hear and listen for the shofar, is that there is so much noise in our world. It can be overwhelming at times. And I'm not just talking the traffic noise, and I'm not just talking the noise that comes from the television or the noise that comes from our neighbors. It's the noise that comes from ourselves. The voices that we have, the conversations we constantly have going in our heads, the conversations we're constantly replaying. And we have trained ourselves, because of all of the noise that surrounds us, that we tend not to hear them. We listen, but we don't hear. Right? I can listen to you talk, but for me, I need to hear what you're saying. And the shofar is the antidote to that. Because if we don't stop to hear, if we don't listen to hear the shofar, what we're saying is that even the most significant sacred sound is not worthy of a blessing. We don't sound the shofar all year. Although, if you put on the news and you see people protesting, often somebody has a shofar, because the shofar was used to announce many things, announce holidays. If you heard the shofar, if you heard a shofar sound, it might be mobilization for war. And if you heard the shofar sound, it might be that there was a general announcement being made, something that you all had to go and listen to. So if you were busy and not listening, if you weren't listening for the shofar, you might miss it. It was an alarm, basically. It was come and listen. We need, in order to hear the shofar, in order to allow it to penetrate us, we have to do active listening. And when we hear the shofar, when we really hear it, there are 4 things that we should think about when we're listening, when we're hearing it, or after we hear it. Hear it first with an open head, as it were, right? With open ears and a closed mouth. That's tough for some of us, right? Because we want to talk. The first one is, when you hear it, remember that it can surprise us. The sound of the shofar says that we can be surprised. And from that surprise, from that initial hearing it when we don't expect it, what can we learn? What is the shofar pointing out to us? What can we learn? The shofar also teaches us that we can change, that the act of listening can change us. The act of hearing can change us, right? And think about the last time you heard something or that you were listening to something and it brought about a change in you. It could be a piece of music, right? For me, a number of pieces of music have changed my life in profound ways. Keith Jarrett's the concert in Cologne, the Köln concert on the broken piano. Dwayne Allman's slide on Done Somebody Wrong are two examples of things, pieces of music that have changed my life. But had I not listened, had I not heard it, there would have been no change. It teaches us to risk, right? When we actively and really listen, or we really hear someone, we're taking a risk. It gives us courage to risk because we might not like what we hear. It might be painful to us. It might be hurtful to us, but it's something that we need to hear, and we need to have the courage to risk listening and not thinking that we have always the answers. And then finally, when you hear the shofar, it means liberation. Hear the shofar and think of liberation. This is a motif for us, this idea of liberation. Moving from a spot of slavery, a place of slavery. Mitzrayim is the word we always use, the rabbis use. Mitzrayim means narrow, constricting. You can't expand to be who you are. And the shofar reminds us that we are liberated. And if we're not, that we have the possibility to find liberation, to be who we want to be. So this Rosh Hashanah, I hope you hear and you listen for the sound of the shofar, and that it makes a difference in your life. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbos.
Amen.
Mari,
Kadoosh.
it's Kiddush time.
Kiddush.
You are here this week, and I did not forget it.
A little shikker.
You can get a little shikker? Is that Dennis? Dennis, you surprise me every week. Every week. All right, Friday night Kiddush, the last Kiddush of 57 ET2. Vayir vayiboker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam, vayachal Elohim vayom hashvi melachto asher hasa. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol malachto asher hasa. Vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto ki bo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asod. Sabri Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam Borei Peri Hagafen. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav beratzavanu v'shavan kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Yom Techila Lamikrai Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu V'charta V'otanu Kidashta Mikol Ha'amim V'Shabbat Kodshecha Be'ahava u'ratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh All right, let's begin closing out our service this evening on page 282 with Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'od l'ateidu ha'liotzer reishi shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot v'lo hosamanu k'mishpachot adam ha shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gohor aleinu k'chol hamonam v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמו ושכינתו בגוני מרומי הוא אלוהינו אחד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים. בשמיים ממעל, מהארץ מתחת עינו. כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. We are in the month of Elul, and so part of our liturgy has an addition, Psalm 27. Psalm 27, it's on the little laminated sheets, and let's read it responsibly in the, we'll do it in the English tonight. I don't want Dennis to show off with his Hebrew. So we'll read it in English responsibly. Of David. Adonai is my light and my help. Whom should I fear? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. Whom should I dread? When evildoers draw near to me to devour my flesh, when my foes and enemies threaten, they trip and they fall. Though armies besiege me, my heart shall not fear. Should war beset me, still do I trust.
One thing I do ask of Adonai is this week
to dwell in the house of the Adonai all the days of my life, to behold the Adonai's sweetness and to gaze on God's house.
God hides me in God's shelter on the day of evil, conceals me in the recesses of God's tent. On a rock, God raises me up.
And now my head rises over my enemies around me. Let me offer in God's tent sacrifices with joyous shouts. Let me sing in Adonai.
Hear, O Lord, my voice when I call, and grant me peace and answer me.
My heart said, seek my face, your face, Lord, and you seek.
Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in wrath. You are my help. Abandon me not, nor forsake me, O God of my rescue.
My father and mother forsook me, but no one ever gathered me in.
Teach me, O Lord, your way, and lead me on a level path because of my adversaries.
Do not subject me to the will of my foes, for false witnesses rose against me, prisoners of violence.
Had I not the assurance that I would enjoy the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
Hope for the Lord. Let your heart be firm and bold, and hope for the Lord.
לבביהם תלרוק כתוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קווה אל אדוני, חזק בימי צליבך, וקווה אל אדוני. We are observing Shloshim for Victor Krupman, Ed Gellen's brother-in-law, and we continue Shloshim for Pauline Kaplan. This week we observe the following yahrzeits: Dora Cohen Mayer, relative of Jane Glick; Robert Einstein, Sidney Poland's son; Samuel Jason, relative of Mayer; Robert Pickholz, Linda Klein's father; Nettie Supovitz, Lynn Mayer's aunt; Barnett Fish, husband of Fanny, Francis, and Jackie's grandfather; Jack Glick, Miriam's husband, David and Joanne's father, Billy's uncle; Sam B. Kaplan, Judy Woodruff's maternal grandfather; Anthony Skolik, Stephanie's father; Genevieve Woodruff, Ed's mother; Jacob Feinberg, related to Eve; William Glick, husband of Loretta; Ellen Weinberger, Richard's wife, mother of Paul and Ned; Edith Cohen, daughter of Joe and Hannah; Joseph Jason, Goldie Fetter's brother; Minnie Gertrude Lloyd, Charles's mother; Barrett Skoll, Elaine's husband, father of Rhonda and Diane. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all, and may they all rest in peace.
Amen.
Warner's Cottage is found on page 294. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah, Yalma, Yivrach, Yurte, Yalmik, Machute, V'chayechon, Yomechon, Uchaye, Dechol, Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Vizman, Kari, Dimru, Amen. Yehe, Shmei Rabbah, Morach, V'lam, Lamel, Maya. Yitbarach, Yishtarach, Yitar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh, Yithadar, Yitoleh, Yithalal, Shnei, Yishar, Riku, Ve'elam, Yikol, Birchata, V'shivata, Tushbachata, V'nechamata, V'amiram, V'almam, Yimru, Amen. Yehe, Shlomah, Rabbah, In Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu, Yalkol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Yiramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Yalkol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. All right, friends, we are just about finished with our evening service. A couple of quick announcements. Services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Please join us. We are live and in person. On Sunday at 9 a.m. we have our minion also live and in person, so join us. And then the rest of the week is a wash. There's not much going on, and so we'll see you next week. Bye. No, just kidding. Sunday night we have Rosh Hashanah services, the evening service starting at 7 o'clock. Then in the morning at 10 o'clock we have first day Rosh Hashanah services. And yes, the shofar will be sounded sometime between 10 and the end of services. Then on Tuesday morning at 10, we have Rosh Hashanah Day 2 services. Monday afternoon, in between the morning service and dinner time, we will meet at Ritter Park around 3 o'clock for the Tashlich service. We're going to cast our sins symbolically away. And so that's always a nice little service to have. If you know somebody who is not able to come to services and wants to hear the shofar, please let me know. Call the office and let me know, and we will do our best to make sure you get to hear the shofar in person. And then we'll be back next Friday for services, the first Shabbat of a new year. Friday night at 6, Saturday morning at 10, and then Sunday at 9. So that's it for this week. Lots going on. Big holiday. I warned you about it. Warned you about it a month ago. Warned you about it 8 weeks ago. And now it's here. So I'm looking forward to it. So, and we have Cantor Beth. So, I mean, it's going to be a wonderful holiday for us all. I didn't miss any meetings, right? No meetings on Monday or Tuesday. Just the big meeting. Just the big meetings. just a big meeting in the main sanctuary.
That's right.
All right, well, let's close out with Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefsa Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nivra Yacharei Kiklot HaKol Levahado Yimloch Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hobeh Vehu Yeh B'tifara Vehu Echad V'ein Sheni Lahamshil Lo Lahachvira V'li Reshit V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'hamishra Vehu Eli V'chayoli V'tzur Hevli V'yehitzara Vehu Nisi Umanosli Menat Hosi Biomekra Biado Akir Ruhi Bieti Shan Biahira Bimruhi Giriati Adonai Li Velo Ira. All right, friends, we have somebody, oh, look at that, saying hello to us via the interwebs. Always a good thing. And it is ML Glazer and Herman. Yes, wonderful. Wishing all a good Shabbat. Thank you, Marilyn and Herman. And Shabbat Shalom to you. One of blessings, this last one of the year. And we look forward to seeing you at the high holidays. Mom is in town, so she is not online right now. But I'm sure she would wish us all a Shabbat Shalom. So friends, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
We'll see you soon, and please, please be careful out there.
Take a deep breath because the days are here.
What Dennis says.